But these young people on a Prince's Trust course are getting the help and advice to find jobs and careers here that they say they never got in school.
We were given 20-minute slots and my careers advice lasted for about 30 seconds.
I got told someone was going to come in and got told next week and the next week and the next week and no one really come.
I didn't have a careers advisor in school, so I just made up my own mind on what I wanted to do.
I think we had a couple of days when the teachers or other people might have said stuff to us and had like little workshops, but nothing really major because obviously I'd have a job now.
In England, the government forced a huge shift in resources over the last decade to help those likely to end up as not in employment, education or training, called NEETs. Connection centres, careers advice centres outside of school support these youngsters. But careers experts say that left a huge gap in provision for mainstream pupils. There was a far less dramatic shift in Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. That's why the UK's largest career guidance association says the system in English schools is a mess, with schools relying too much on connection centres.
Careers education in schools is best described as being patchy and inconsistent. We have a generation coming through university now who have not had an experience of high quality careers education. And what that means in the absence of having high quality careers education, it means that young people are not actually developing the knowledge and the skills about the labour market.
Schools say they're playing their part, but youngsters need detailed job information as well as advice from someone that knows them.
It may well be that schools don't have the necessary information about employers and employment, whereas the employers and connection service won't have that personalised information about individual students. Putting the two things together is where it works well.
The government wants to modernise careers advice, information and guidance, making sure children get it right from primary school all the way up to the age of 18, offering them mentors and making more use of online resources.
Again, lots of our students work at cinemas, don't they?
In this sixth form college, there's a dedicated careers advisor, not a teacher, but a specialist. Advisors say that's even more vital as young people face such bleak employment prospects.
The choices young people have nowadays is so complex and so vast that they really need specialist advice and guidance. And almost every young person needs this advice and guidance, which is sometimes beyond what their teachers in school can offer.
Teaching unions say the government has made progress. It's now reasserting the importance of quality advice for all, something welcomed by careers advisors. But they say unless schools, colleges and local authorities all work together, nothing will change. Keith Doyle, BBC News.
Yes, and we'll be debating this further in a few minutes' time, speaking to a former apprentice winner who now helps young entrepreneurs and teachers' union representative who says teachers can't be careers advisors as well.
OK, we're trying to union, the NASUWT. Very good morning to you both.
Morning.
Good morning. Tim, did you know what you wanted to do when you were about 14, 15, 16?
Not at all. Well, I had an inkling of what I wanted to do, but that changed.
Which was what?
Well, I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be all the things, but I really wanted to be what my mum wanted me to be. And the reality of this situation is we've got lots of people who are focused on young people when they're very young, and their careers are going to change. And I think the big problem you have is you've got baby boomers talking to the Generation X generation who are going to have very transient career profiles. They're not going to go into one job for life anymore. So what we should actually be teaching these people is those transferable skills about how they do well at interviews, how they go and do research well, how they interact with people, where no matter what they do, they'll be better employers. I'm not looking for teachers to be employment advisors. I'm looking for them to teach my children those particular skills, but then they should have a service around them which allows them to be better employees.
Yeah. Yes, Chris Keats, what's the union's perspective on this? Because if we are to believe that the careers advice system basically isn't working, there are problems with it, it might be logical to say, well, the teachers know these youngsters, they probably know them better than anyone. You know, can it be something they can be expected to take on? Would that be worthwhile?
Well, I think it's very important that schools are able to play their role in careers advice. But it isn't just acceptable to just blame the schools if there's a problem. They've got to work together with local authorities, with connection services, with FE colleges and with employers to make sure that young people are getting that very rounded and informative package that they need. Individual teachers can't all be careers advisors. What they can do is talk very passionately about their own subjects. They can be good signposts to young people to where they can get quality information, and also the schools can be a vehicle for all the experts and specialists to come in and to be available to those young people.
I just wonder though, Chris, given the problems we're hearing about the advice available, I mean, you're saying they can guide people to where they can get good advice. I mean, do you believe that? Do you think there is it in the system there that they can guide them towards?
Well, I think all the elements are there. What I don't think is there is the joined-up partnership working, which is the focus and priority at the moment of trying to get the information and guidance to young people. And good careers advice, of course, starts right from primary schools, where lots of primary school teachers now are engaged in providing work-related learning. So it's a whole package. Schools can play their part, but it's unfair to simply say if there's a deficiency in the service, then actually the responsibility rests solely with the schools and with teachers, because it doesn't.
Tim, what you seem to be suggesting is that, you know, these skills can be taught as part of the teaching experience with children. And actually, is there any point in specific careers advice at all? If we're teaching our children well, do they need then to be told about certain jobs?
Look, this whole thing about what actually a career is now. It's different. The baby boomer generation, who are going to work for 25 years and retire, is completely different from what these young people who are coming through now. They're much more entrepreneurial. They're much more thinking about their right in society and what they can do. And they're going to have at least 5 to 15 different jobs in their lives. So you can't come in and see someone sit at a computer, fill out this form, oh, you're going to be a dentist, you're going to be an accountant. That careers advice is gone now. What we need to do is empowering people to think about how they can be better in society. What we do at Bright Ideas Trust, our charity, is we work with young people who are NEETs about self-employment.
NEETs, you mean not in
employment, education or training. And what we do with them is we teach them about how business works, because then they can have a variety of different skills that will arm them to be better employees.
Yes, sorry, I was just going to ask Chris finally. I mean, do you acknowledge one of the issues that seems to be presented is that some of the youngsters in the middle of this equation, not down at the bottom end who's struggling most, some of the middle are the ones who are losing out most in terms of what advice is given to them?
Well, I think the fact of the matter is that schools will do their best to make sure that all of the pupils and all the young people in their care are actually going to get the advice that they actually need. And they do a great deal already in terms of developing those skills that young people need to get themselves into the world of work. And they do focus on the needs of all young people. I mean, schools are very much now about personalisation, but it is about schools being able to tap in to that specialist support and advice that other services are best qualified to provide.
OK, Chris Keats, thank you very much. From the NAS UW2, Tim Campbell. Nice to see you again.
Always
thank you very much
good to see you.
as well.
Thanks very much indeed. Just approaching 9:30. We're with you, of course, on breakfast until 10 o'clock this morning on BBC One. That's when James Martin takes over with his Saturday Kitchen. Morning, James.